I've just pressed record. So welcome to the top 10 tips for immediate business success. And we're recording this session so that everyone can jump on board and have a look. We're running this in addition to the Star Performers modules, which we've been running on a 12-week program. And so some of the content will slightly overlap and other things will be new as well. So these are the top 10 things that I recommend you to be doing right now from today for immediate business success. And before we get started, I will say a little bit about me, and you guys that are on the call have heard this already. So I've actually now added a picture to this page, which is really nice. And so I'm a former PASH manager, built a team of about 75 consultants, and my average monthly sales were around $2,500 to $3,500. And my best month ever was just short of $6,000 in reward sales. From there, when I left PASH, I built an award-winning business called Wicked Waiters, which was all about shirtless waiters and hens parties. So it was all very similar. And we recently sold that business, which was fantastic. I'm a primary school teacher by day, and I'm a success coach for small business owners by night. And as you can see over on the side, I'm a busy working mum, a wine lover, a teacher, a business owner, and a work-life blend enthusiast. So we'll get started and have a look at the top 10 tips for immediate business success. So before we start, we want to know why you're here. And those who are on the Star Performers will know that we've talked about this, about why you joined PASH in the first place. What is it that drives you to do really, really well in this business? And when you know this and you've nailed this, it really underpins your whole mindset and your success around your business. When you know why you're working and what you're working for, it makes it really easy to go and get it and to keep you motivated to go and get it. And in turn, when you're looking at recruiting people, this is also really, really important so that you know why your people are joining you on this journey. So if you haven't had to think about why you're really here and what it is that you really want out of your business, it's the absolute first thing that you must do to ensure that you've got success ahead in your business. So my tip number one is to get really clear goals. How do you know where you're going if you've got no plan? How do you know when you've got there if you've got no plan? And when you're setting your goals, they can be really short term, they can be long term, and they can be everywhere in between. So it's really important that you've got some very clear, specific goals around what it is that you want to achieve. Perhaps you're working for money for a holiday. Perhaps you're wanting to reduce your credit card debt. There must be something that you're working towards so that you can track your success and track what you're doing. So you've got to be really specific. In your parties, how many parties would you like to be doing a month? Is it just one? Is it more than one? Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 10? Setting some goals around this will really help you to actually ensure that you're doing that. What are your sales goals? Do you have a party sales goal? Perhaps every party that you'd like to do $800 in sales. Perhaps it's a monthly sales goal that you're working towards, or perhaps it's a longer term sales goal. But being very specific about that dollar amount is what's really going to help drive to get you there. Similarly, with your recruitment goals, do you want to become a manager? Do you want to become an executive manager? Do you want to push so that there can be another whole level announced in terms of leadership and recruitment? You need to write your goals down every day. And this is something that I feel we sort of know what we want to do, but do we write them every day? And when we're not faced with them every single day, are we being very persistent about chasing them? And I know people that have set their goals as passwords on their computers and their iPads and their phones. They might want to make $2,000 this month. And so their password on everything for this month is $2,000. So really making sure that you're writing it, but writing it in really creative ways is really, really important so that you can track your success and know whether or not you're getting there. And I've got this lovely little infographic here from leoniedawson.com. Leonie is an amazing wealth of knowledge. If you haven't found her already, she's amazing. And what she's written here is really spot on the money. 80% of people have no goals at all. They don't know what they want, or they might think they know what they want, but they really don't have any specific goals for their business or their life. And 16% of people actually think of goals, but they never write them down. So they're sort of just floating around. And 3% of people write down their goals, which is great, but then they don't review them. So how do they know if they're actually achieving them? Then you get down to that little one itty bitty percent. 1% of people who have written goals actually review them, and then they're actually amongst the highest achievers in the world. 1% of people. So think about the people that you are successful in business. They're the people that are actually doing this. And when we talk about, you know, set clear goals, we think, oh yeah, we've heard this a million times, but do we actually really do it? And it's something that I have to be very careful of myself, because again, we know it, we hear it all the time, but do we really do it? And the difference that it can make is phenomenal. So the first tip for immediate success is to get really clear goals and write them down and review them regularly. So let's move on to tip number 2. Get organized. There's lots of ways to be organized, and sometimes you think you're organized, but you might not be organized. So I've just put a few little things down here. Getting a good diary system. I still struggle to find the most amazing diary for my business and life, because I like to have everything sort of together but separate, if you know what I mean. So finding a really good diary system that works is the best start for getting organized. You can have a month to review so that you can know what you've got at a glance coming up. Then you've got a daily view where you can put all of your details and things like that in for your parties. So you want to be able to make sure that you can have a quick glance and a really thorough look when you need it. Your workspace needs to be really practical, but really inspirational. I've got a picture here. This is a friend of mine's workspace. It's not my workspace, and she is a blogger, and this is her workspace. She just absolutely loves coming to this space in her house. It's her space and she owns it. And when she sits in this space to work, her mindset completely shifts, and she actually does her best work here at this desk. So if you haven't got an area set up for you to work in, even if it's not its own room, even if you just have to clear away a little bit of space, you can make your own, make it practical and make it beautiful and inspirational, you'll find that you'll do your very best work there. Setting up a practical and easy to use filing system is always really good. There's nothing worse than not being able to lay your hands on paperwork when you really need it, or your receipts for your tax or anything like that. So getting a system in place is really, really valuable for your business, because when you feel organized, you're more productive. And that's a really, really great tip for really moving forward and having immediate business success. And the last one I've got there is to establish some clear working hours. If we're not consistently working clear hours, how do we know that we're getting through everything that we need to do properly? So having a think about whether you work between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. or whether you get up and you work first thing in the morning on your business. And I don't mean in terms of parties, because parties we slot them in where they fit, but actually your office hours and your phone call hours and your hostess coaching hours, making sure that they're very clear and that you're not working too much or too little, just the right amount. Tip number 3, book, book, book. Book, 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 book. Brazil is out, grow a bush. Now, Rebecca knows all about this. She's nodding. So basically what I mean by growing a bush in business is we really, really, really want a dense amount of bookings in the immediate future, so that when your bush grows, it's really sort of, I suppose, it's got a really good root system and it's strong, and it's going to lead you to more places. It's going to give you more opportunity, and it's going to live for a lot longer. Your business bush needs to be thick, it needs to be well watered, it needs to be lush, it needs to be growing. And that's what we mean by book like you're growing a bush, because if you've got a really great foundation, you're going to book a lot of parties in the long run. Book more than you can hold within reason. If you book 6 parties in, only 4 might go ahead. So making sure that you have not left yourself short is really, really important. Don't be afraid to overbook just a little bit, and don't go crazy, because you don't want to book more in than you can manage. So having 1 in 4 will postpone. I don't like to say that people cancel, because I don't accept cancellations, but 1 in 4 will postpone. So having said that, just book within reason, but make your month really, really rich in bookings. And only book within the next 4 weeks. There are sometimes people will book something 8 weeks out and then wonder why the event doesn't go ahead, because it's just too far out. It's not realistic for people to actually commit to something 2 months in advance like this. So book within your next 4 weeks. 5-week stretch if you know your customers and your business is strong. but I wouldn't recommend any further than that. And the other thing too, when you're casting your net in terms of booking and growing your bush, is that you really, really want to book with a wide variety of people. Because if you book with your mum and your sister and your cousin, likely that you're going to sit at those 3 parties with very similar faces looking at you. But if you book with someone from work, and then maybe your mum, and then maybe your friend from high school, and then maybe someone from your mother's group, you've actually got 4 completely different sets of people sitting in front of you. And when you book from those parties, you're actually now branching out into that beautiful bush that you've created, and you're going to start to get a nice wide variety of people at your parties, which is what we want when we're looking at selling, booking, and recruiting people. Hostess coaching is critical. There are some fantastic resources on hostess coaching in Pash Central, and it's really, really, really important that you've got amazing contact with your hostesses and building that relationship in the lead up to her party and after her party. So hostess coaching, if you need to review what you're doing around that, please do. It is very vital to your booking system. And hold maxi days. And maxi days are those days where you don't just do one party, but you might do 2. So you know you could do a 1 p.m. and a 6 p.m. And you could work double as hard on that day and have a day off the next day. So see in your diary whether or not you have any days that will allow you to do that and maximize your time. Tip number 4 is to create a consistent work pattern. And there are 2 things that you'll hear me nut on about, and that is consistency and relationships. Consistency is the number 1 thing that will drive your business. If you're consistent, whether you're doing very little or whether you're doing a lot, if you're consistent about it, you're going to see a shift in your business. So you don't have to be doing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. You can do very little, but if you do it consistently, you'll see a difference. And creating a party timeline for yourself. So this is actually about creating a pattern for every single party so that you're doing the same process for every party that's consistent. So you take your booking, you do your hostess coaching, you do the party, you put the orders through. Usually that's where people stop. But if you're creating a really productive, consistent work pattern, you're also following up with your clients after that party to make sure they've got their orders, and you're generating your new bookings and basically starting the whole process all over again. So having a system in place that's consistent and it follows a pattern, you're actually going to find that you're going to have a much successful business because you're doing the same thing every time and you're being very thorough about all of the steps and you're not missing any. Now, some days we get up and we think, I couldn't possibly make any phone calls today. I'm not in the mood. It's not my day. Feeling a bit down, might stay in bed. Show up and work even if you don't feel like it, because missing that one phone call for a hostess or just delaying that order by 1 day can make a huge difference. If you delay an order by 1 day and a certain item goes out of stock, you've missed placing that order and you've missed that last bit of stock. If you don't phone that hostess just because you're having a bit of a down day and you didn't feel like it, she may postpone her party. So it's really important that you still get up and do the important stuff even if you don't feel like it. And you need to take a really consistent, persistent, and insistent approach to your business. And they are the 3 words I use in every area of my life, and it seems to make a huge difference when I look at it with that mindset. If you're consistent, very persistent about what you're doing, and insistent with yourself that you're actually going to do it well, you're going to see a huge shift in your business. Tip number 5, know your stuff. I was going to put a different word in there, but I thought we'd use stuff. Know your stuff, your product knowledge. And this is one of the key things. You can put on a beautiful product demonstration. You can have a really fun, fantastic night. But if you're not actually able to explain things to people about your products, they're not going to buy them, especially if they're worth a little bit of money. So when people are buying things, I've got a picture here of the Soraya and the Nia. They are what I call investments. They are an investment. Nobody just decides to buy a product of that amount of money just because it looks fantastic or it's cool or it sounds great. They want to know what it's going to do for them because it is an investment. And knowing what those products have as their features, what are their features, what do they do, what are their benefits, how are they better than another product, how do they differ to another product, is really crucial to being able to sell that product. And we all know that people really do have a really long, hard think about these products before they buy them, because they are of a higher price bracket and they really do want to make that investment for themselves. Stories and anecdotes go down beautifully. So if you know any stories from perhaps previous clients that have bought it, or perhaps you have something yourself, which is your personal recommendations, people love to hear that as well, within reason. Use your discretion. So don't be afraid also to admit that you're unsure. If somebody says, you know, tell me such and such about the WeVibe, and you don't know the answer, try not to be a know-it-all at that point. Actually, do you know what? I really don't know the answer to your question, but I am going to ring you back tomorrow with an answer, and I will go away and I will find out that information for you. Because what people really love to know is that you're giving them honest and timely information, not just a sales pitch. So it is important that you're doing your research for your products, knowing your products, and you know, making sure that you do seek information if you need to, because people really do appreciate that. The other thing to do, you know, make sure you've got all of these product cards printed out in a display folder in your kit, so that if someone does ask you about a product that you don't have, you can take it out, you can go through it with them and show them and have a discussion about it. And the best way to learn more about these products is to engage in some professional dialogue. So get together with other consultants within your area or within your team or on the Facebook page, and really have that discussion about the product, and you know, share information, hints, tips, experiences and stories, so that you can share that with your customers as well. Tip number 6, get off social media. We're on it all the time, aren't we? I'm on it all the time. Get off Facebook and actually speak to people, because this business is built around relationships, not the amount of likes that you get. Now, social media, I have to say, I love it. It's a fantastic business tool. It's an affordable business tool and a marketing tool, but it cannot be the be-all and end-all. It certainly has its place in today's world. However, you cannot beat the actual relationship that you build with somebody. And this is so important when it comes to recruitment. I cannot stress enough that you cannot recruit solely on social media. Recruitment is one of those things where you have to have an element of face-to-face and an established relationship with somebody, because they're coming on a journey with you. So the best way to recruit, if you want to become a manager, is to get out there and actually build relationships with people. And that way your meaningful connections will go a lot further. Get out and actually hold marketing events, go to fates, go to any event where you can actually promote your things. You might be able to get involved with donating your time or your product for a charity. There are so many fantastic charities that would support products like Pash products, things like Girls Night In events. It's the biggest opportunity for supporting one wonderful charity, getting involved, helping to raise money, but also boosting your business at the same time. So make sure that you're off social media, get out into the real world, meet some people, talk to some people, build relationships, and really make yourself known as an expert within your industry. Huge one. Tip number 7, nail your party presentation. And this does take some time often, because it might take you 3, 4, 5 goes to really get into the groove of what your presentation looks like. And it's so important that you do put your personal mark on your presentations. You don't want to be just like every other consultant. You do want to have your own things that make you unique. And why do people come to our parties? They come to get time out. They come to relax at the end of their working week. They come to have time away from their children so they can just be themselves again and relax. They come to have fun and laugh and connect, and they come to catch up with friends. And so you're a facilitator of all of those wonderful things. So nailing your party presentation and make sure it's hitting the mark for everyone's needs is really, really, really important. You've got to create that perfect balance between fun and information, because our business is really, it's really important that we are actually giving an element of information and knowledge and empowerment to women. It's got such an important message that we need to give, but we also want to give the fun at the same time. So it is about sort of trial and error to find that blend for you that works. And you want to disguise your housekeeping information just the same way that all of us mums hide veggies in our kids' dinners. You want to just intertwine it very subtly so that it doesn't feel salesy, and you can actually get all of your housekeeping information over in a very fun and relaxed way so that people enjoy themselves. And you've got to be known as the go-to person. So having a think about what your party presentation looks like at the moment, how it could be improved, and also how you can bring a far more element of fun and information in at the same time. Tip number 8, befriend the phone. I was terrified of the phone when I first started. I thought I couldn't ring anybody about my business. But how many business calls do you make per day to gain bookings or recruitment? It's scary to pick up the phone and call a person from a party from last week to ask them about the opportunity or to follow up about a party lead, because we're so fearful that they might say no. But no doesn't mean no forever. It just means not today. And you can always go back and offer to them at any other time. So if you make less than 5 calls a day, I challenge you to triple it. Go back through all of your old customers, everyone who's ever said that they'd want to have a party, or anyone that you think might be interested in the opportunity or good at the opportunity, triple it. If you're already making between 6 and 10 calls a day, double it. And if you've got between 10 and 20, you're absolutely nailing it. This is where you might work out how many % of people are actually going to say yes to you. And if you're calling 20 people a day and a quarter are going to say yes to you, that's a really big business building opportunity right there. And I wanted to share with you the Bengal method. It was discussed by Mary Christensen, and it was for people who were really scared of the phone. And what she would do is just get those really little cheap children's bracelets and pop them on her wrist. And for every phone call she made, she took the bracelet off and put it onto the other hand. And she wouldn't stop phoning until all of the bracelets had been transferred from one hand to the other. And that was her way of really tracking how well she was doing in her business for that day. Didn't matter what outcome she got from those phone calls, but if she rang and she actually got to speak to somebody, the Bengal would transfer over. And that's how she could consistently make a difference in her business. Tip number 9, sponsor. That means recruit. Sales are your income for today. Bookings are your income for tomorrow. But sponsoring is your income forever. So have a little think about that. Bit of a dry throat. Sponsoring can add hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to your income per month. Pardon me. I was going to have a drink, sorry. So building a team is really important. Sorry, I will struggle through the rest of this. Tip number 10, stop making excuses. That's it. Stop making excuses.
Just do it.
Sorry, Beck.
Just do it.
Just do it. Absolutely. You can't make money and excuses at the same time.
Yeah.
And my bonus tip is to celebrate your success, no matter how big or small. So I'm going to stop recording here.
Right, cut that into quarters.